There's something so beautiful and whimsical about seeing the decade-old sweet lime tree aglow underneath the lights of Arch Rose Claire. It arrived a few days ago in really bad shape. For over 10 years, it lived in the low desert with roots that speared through caliche-filled clay soil. It must have gotten along with the neighboring colony of ants living underneath its roots, as many of them arrived with the tree. They've disappeared by now, but twinkling orbs light up the living tunnel so the sweet lime tree doesn't feel scared. At first, the tree is brave and hides the pain of being ripped out of its former home, but the mask doesn't stay up for long. One June morning, the sun peeks over the cinder block wall and notices the sweet lime tree looks unwell. All of Serendipity sprouts up, doing all they can to help the little tree feel better. The grapevines leap over trellises and scale up the shade structure, swinging down and performing acrobatic stunts in hopes of making the old tree laugh. Don Juan climbing roses offer fragrant bouquets of red velvety blooms, and annual vines crawl up the trellis, stopping by temporarily to visit the wounded tree. All of Serendipity anxiously waits to find out if the tree will make it. As the days go by, birds of all sizes come to inspect the broken evergreen. They perch on its battered branches while they call out their findings to anyone listening. Time goes by, and one July morning, the sun peeks over the cinder block wall and shrieks happily at the perky leaves on the old citrus tree. Day by day, it livens up and stretches out new leaves, gently grazing the neighbors around it. By midsummer, Serendipity is exhausted. The lime tree continues growing, surrounded by silhouettes of brittle branches and withered leaves. Then one August morning, it hears footsteps approaching Arch Rose Claire. This is what the main garden looks like. Yesterday, I had to cut down a bunch of the grapevines because you might still be able to see some of them. Look how crazy they're going. They're climbing up my 10-foot structure. You can still see some over there too. Not only had they climbed up, but they had gone all the way up, and then they were draping down like another 5 to 8 feet. So I chopped them all down. I feel like I kind of had to. I needed to open up the sunlight a little bit more. That way, whenever I start planting things on places like this bed, it actually gets a good amount of light coming in the morning. Otherwise, I feel like the plants are searching for sunlight a little bit. And the same thing is gonna happen over here. I have the grapevines going all the way across. I like the look, but at the same time, it got away from me. So I like how this looks, but eventually I'm gonna cut back in here as well. That way I can open it up and we can get a little bit more daylight. I just need to start chopping and putting things into trash bags. I'm already sweating like crazy. Something I'm so grateful for is the fact that today's high is gonna be 103. 103, yes. I know that sounds ridiculous, but heat here in the low desert has been so bad that 103 feels fantastic. Like, I'm still sweating like crazy right now, but prior, I feel like it was so hot, I wouldn't even sweat. I just started scorching. I'm gonna start by cleaning up all of these grapevines that I cut down yesterday. That way I'm able to walk through a little bit better, because it kind of freaks me out that they're all over the floor. It makes me feel like there's gonna be like bugs in here or something. Oh, you know what? I could also just grab them and then go start stuffing them into the trash can. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna save the bags for the dried plants. It's already looking so much better. I'm not fully done cleaning up all the vines off the floor, but that's okay. I just needed most of them gone. That way I don't freak out every time I walk by, because I always feel like there's gonna be a snake in there or something. I've never found any snakes in my garden yet, but I live in the desert and people have found snakes all around the neighborhood. Thankfully they haven't found my garden yet, but I'm terrified that if I let my guard down one day, I'm just gonna walk into a rattler. This is tomato trellis that I made last year, and I really liked it. I feel like it worked well. The only thing that I don't like about it is that you really have to stay on top of pruning the tomato plants heavily so that they don't go wild. And I did not do that. I let them go wild because I was just really busy, and then it got really hot, and before I knew it, the tomato plants were sprawling everywhere. So I had to keep adding more string and kind of tying it around, sort of like the Florida weave method. So next year I might do that again. I might just do the string to give it that initial support, and then I might go back and forth like the Florida weave method to keep it sturdy. Otherwise it's really hard for me to maintain because I have way too much stuff to do and not enough time to do it all. So, but the trellis itself held up beautifully. It's still in the same condition as the first day I ever set it up, and I love that about it. Something else that I really want to do this year is use it to trellis other things like cucumbers. I can grow beans up. I can basically use it for any vining crop to grow things vertically, and I love that because I don't have any more space to grow outwards. I can only grow up. The only thing is that these tomato plants were such a disappointment. I don't even remember what varieties I had here anymore, but they didn't really produce anything. I was looking forward to just harvesting baskets and baskets of tomatoes, but to be honest with you, I feel like I got almost nothing from my indeterminate plants, like the big slicers. As for the cherry tomatoes, the only ones that were really productive were the Sungold. Every other cherry tomato plant that I grew was okay. Maybe like a Tommy Toe tomato did pretty good too, but everything else just, it was so underwhelming. I was like, come on. Here I had a lot of beans growing up the trellis, but unfortunately the sun just completely obliterated them. One of the varieties that I was super excited to grow and I was looking forward to trying was the snake bean, which is supposed to be this really huge bean that should, in theory, keep some birds away because it looks like a snake. But it never sprouted for me. So I was kind of bummed out about that. Ooh, I even have some dried beans right here. Let's see. Okay, there's like 2 little beans in there. Woohoo! Already that looks so much better. Now I think I'm going to start pruning some of the grapevines up top. That way I can open up the tops a little bit more and have more light coming in. I know that it may seem odd that I'm pruning back the grapevines so drastically, especially with summer still in full swing. Temperatures at 103 degrees feel refreshingly cooler compared to the scorching 117 or 120 degree days we experienced earlier this season. August holds a unique place in Low Desert Gardens because it welcomes in monsoon season. During this time, surviving plants in the garden perk up as humidity fills the air and occasional rain showers bring relief from the arid heat. From my window, I often watched birds pecking at fruit during the summer months. Now, those fallen fruits have decomposed into the soil, enriching it and leaving behind seeds for future plants to fill the garden with more abundance. Keeping seeds moist enough to sprout is a challenge during the hotter summer days because everything dries out so quickly and germination is poor. However, during monsoon season, the dry desert landscape takes on a rich and earthy smell as Mother Nature waters in all its remaining plants. Now my focus shifts to nurturing any seedlings that sprout or are transplanted into serendipity. This begins with pruning back the grapevines to allow more sunlight to flood the garden beds, encouraging new shoots to thrive. But pruning the grapevines is just one of the many changes about to take place in the garden. He's gonna see that it's already full. What do you think?
Huh?
Ew. What do you think of the garden? I have stuff on my lip summer.
It looks like you're destroying it. Like you're shredding it up. You're starting all over.
My vision's been compromised. I think I got some dry leaves and sunscreen in it, so they burn, but I'm sweating so much I feel like there's leaves stuck to me everywhere and I can't get them off unless I go shower. They're even stuck to my shirt. My sweat's acting like glue. But anyways, I think I'm gonna pause on the grapes for now. I feel like I keep jumping back and forth between the grapes and then the tomatoes and grapes and tomatoes, but I need to pause on the grapes because I think that's open enough for now. No, I mean, I should just finish it up, huh? It's getting hotter. The sun is coming out a little bit more. And now that I don't have the grapes covering up this whole portion, it's really warm here. Really, really warm. Oh my God, but I forgot what it felt like to have light. No, literally. Having the grapevines covering Arch Rose Clare created such a protected microclimate that I didn't realize how much of a temperature difference there was when the grapevines were intact versus when I had chopped them off, because once the light was coming through, I could feel the whole intensity of the sun and it was really getting to me, so I took a few minutes to cool down before I continued working.